Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're embarking on a pretty fascinating mission, actually. We're going to unpack the science, or the proposed science, behind attracting wealth and success.
Yeah, and the sources we're looking at, they really challenge that old idea, that it's all just hard work and luck.
Right. Instead, they suggest something much deeper. That the key mechanism for, well, fortune lies in how your brain is quite literally wired, organized.
Exactly. We're talking about a direct, sort of neurological shortcut to abundance based on the evidence presented.
It's a really compelling idea.
It is, and it's one that modern neuroscience is increasingly looking into. The core premise here is critical. It's that your financial reality, for the most part, isn't dictated by your conscious plans.
That 5% we think we control.
That tiny fraction, yeah. It's the subconscious mind running the show. Roughly 95% of your decisions, your behaviors, they stem from there.
So if someone listening finds themselves just constantly struggling, maybe hitting a financial wall again and again.
The argument in our sources is that their subconscious program, the one running on autopilot, is basically set to scarcity. It's the default setting.
Okay.
So our mission today is to really deep dive into this concept. Can we use specific, maybe scientifically tuned sound frequencies to reprogram that operating system, switch it to abundance?
Oh, okay. Let's definitely unpack that.
Yeah.
And try to ground it in brain function, because every financial choice, right, how you react to a raise, whether you save or spend, whether you take that leap on a side project, it starts as a brain signal. Our sources talk about the brain's wealth circuitry. What does that actually mean? Is it a real thing?
Well, it's not just a catchy phrase. It represents tangible neural connections, actual pathways.
Okay.
When researchers look at highly successful people, especially those who show resilience, who take smart risks, they see really active, strong neural pathways connecting key brain areas.
What areas are we talking about?
Specifically, strong links between the prefrontal cortex, that's your CEO, handles planning, foresight, impulse control, and the amygdala.
A fear center? Right.
Exactly, the part that manages fear and assesses risk. If those connections are robust, your brain is biologically sort of primed to assess risk quickly, manage the fear, spot the opportunity.
So wired for persistence, confidence.
Precisely. Now, contrast that with a brain wired for scarcity. In that case, the amygdala often kind of hijacks the system. It overpowers the prefrontal cortex.
It's generating immediate fear.
Avoidance. Yeah. The focus shifts entirely to obstacles, potential loss. It leads to avoiding things, even really good opportunities. Basically, financial self-sabotage, even if it doesn't feel like it consciously.
And this all ties back to that subconscious programming we mentioned earlier.
Right.
I mean, I know growing up, I heard things like, money doesn't grow on trees. Seems harmless, but...
But it's a neural command, isn't it? It suggests earning is inherently hard. Those kinds of deep-seated beliefs often formed really young, like before age 7.
They solidify into those powerful automated patterns, the 95%.
They become your default financial habits, silently steering the ship. And that's why, traditional self-help sometimes falls short.
Like affirmations in the mirror. I am wealthy.
Exactly. You're using that small 5% conscious mind trying to battle decades of programming, running at the 95% subconscious level. It's like trying to edit deep code just by yelling at your computer screen.
You're using the wrong interface.
The access point is wrong, yeah.
So if conscious effort gets blocked, we need a different way in, a backdoor, sort of. And this is where I think the sources bring in brainwave entrainment. Now, I have to ask, this sounds a little bit like some older law of attraction stuff, maybe just repackaged.
That's a really important question.
What's the actual neuroscience that makes this different? Is it just placebo?
Well, the difference, according to the science presented, lies in physics, not just philosophy. Brainwave entrainment isn't about wishing, it's about synchronization.
Synchronization. How?
Okay, so modern science shows the brain is an electrical organ, right? It generates electrical impulses, and it's highly sensitive to external frequencies, like sound and light. Entrainment is the process where an external rhythmic vibration,
Sound.
like a specific sound frequency, causes the brain's own electrical impulses, its own frequency, to match it, to synchronize. It literally shifts the brain's operating state.
So you're not just listening to sound, you're potentially changing your brain's electrical rhythm.
That's the principle. You're communicating with the brain's natural electrical language.
Okay, so if the subconscious is this powerful supercomputer running all these background programs, then sound frequency entrainment is potentially a much faster way in. A shortcut compared to, say, years of meditation or therapy.
Absolutely. The sources really emphasize this. While years of practice might gradually shift a pattern, sound, theoretically, communicates directly with those deeper layers. It's like high-speed reprogramming.
Oh,
Because you're guiding the brain into a state where it's naturally more receptive to new information, new programming. You're bypassing some of that conscious, analytical, often fearful resistance you have in your normal waking state, the beta state.
okay, now this is where it gets really specific and maybe controversial for some. The sources point to a particular audio technology, one designed to activate what they call a wealth frequency.
Right.
And they name a very precise frequency, 7.83 hertz. Why that number? What's special about 7.83?
Well, according to the research cited, 7.83 hertz isn't arbitrary at all. It's known scientifically as the primary Schumann resonance.
The Schumann resonance. I've heard that term. Isn't that sometimes called the Earth's heartbeat?
That's the poetic way to put it, yeah. It's the fundamental electromagnetic frequency of the planet's atmosphere, the cavity between the Earth's surface and the ionosphere.
Wow. Okay, so tuning your brain to that is like tuning into the planet's natural frequency.
That's the idea presented, tuning your internal system to the foundational frequency of our environment.
That gives it a very different context than just some random audio tone.
Yeah.
But how does 7.83 hertz actually help with wealth? What's the brain state connection?
It connects directly to a specific brainwave state, deep theta.
Theta waves.
Ah.
Okay, remind us where that fits in. We have beta for active thinking, alpha for relaxation.
Right. Theta is much slower. It's the state usually associated with deep meditation, REM sleep, that kind of twilight state just before you fall asleep or as you're waking up. Hypnosis often targets this state too.
So accessing theta means you're getting past that critical, maybe anxious conscious mind.
Mm.
The one that usually jumps in with doubts and fears about money.
Exactly. When the brain operates in theta, that critical prefrontal cortex and the fear trigon limbic system are less dominant. It's considered an optimal state for neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change, and for subconscious learning.
So it's more open.
Highly receptive. This is supposedly the state that high performers, elite entrepreneurs, serious meditators access when they're doing deep visualization, creative problem solving, getting into that flow state. It quiets the noise of the conscious, I can't do this mind.
That makes intuitive sense. It's not presented as magic, but as lowering a mental barrier to allow new, more positive patterns to form.
Precisely. Creating a receptive environment for change.
The sources lay out a kind of four-step mechanism for how listening repeatedly to this frequency is supposed to work. Can we walk through that?
Sure. It starts, logically, with shifting the brain states.
Step one.
Step one is theta activation. The 7.83 hertz frequency guides the brain into that deeply relaxed meditative theta state, reduces the conscious static.
Okay, state achieved, then what?
Step two is subconscious reprogramming. Because the conscious filter is lowered, the mind becomes much more open, more suggestible. The programs often layer specific audio suggestions or patterns aimed at instilling wealth-oriented beliefs.
Like reducing fear around risk-taking or seeing opportunity.
Things like that, reframing subconscious associations. Then step three follows naturally, neural realignment.
This is building the new pathways, strengthening those wealth circuits we talked about.
Exactly. Over time, being in that receptive theta state while being exposed to these new patterns allows the brain to actually build and solidify those new connections, moving away from the old scarcity default.
And the final step is the payoff.
Step four, behavioral shift. This is the intended real-world outcome. Users report things like better focus, sharper intuition, suddenly spotting opportunities they missed before, and just more drive, more motivation to pursue goals.
So it's a whole chain reaction. Relax the brain, open the subconscious, rewire the pathways, change the behavior.
That's the model proposed, yes. A systemic recalibration.
Stepping back from the technical side for a second, there's an analogy in the source material that I found helpful. It frames it less as positive thinking and more as tuning.
Right, like tuning a radio. Think of your mind as this receiver. If it's constantly tuned to the static frequency stress, fear, lack domain, you just won't pick up the signal of abundance or opportunity.
It's there, but you're not tuned in.
Exactly. The 7.83 hertz signal in this model helps tune your mental receiver to that abundance resonance. It aims to align your neural state, your emotional state, even your energetic state, moving you out of chronic stress and into relaxed focus.
Where you can actually see clearly and make better choices.
That's the goal. Cognitive flexibility instead of reactive fear.
So pulling this together for the listener, what we're really talking about is using a form of mental technology, neuroentrainment, to potentially achieve states that elite performers might spend years, even decades, training to reach.
Yeah, but through a relatively simple audio format, it sort of democratizes access to these potentially powerful mental states.
And we see parallels in the real world, don't we? High-performance fields using mental conditioning.
Oh, absolutely. It's everywhere once you look. Targeted mental conditioning leveraging altered states is pretty standard in elite circles.
The sources bring up some big names.
Mhm.
Figures like Elon Musk talking about his intense visual thinking, basically putting himself into deep focus states to tackle huge problems.
Right? He's essentially inducing a highly receptive, problem-solving state in his own brain. You also see it in coaching and therapy.
Like Tony Robbins.
Yeah, his work with neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, that's all about structured techniques to rapidly rewire limiting beliefs and install empowering ones. It's a very direct form of subconscious reprogramming.
And maybe the clearest example, elite athletes.
Definitely. They don't just train their bodies. They spend enormous amounts of time on mental conditioning, visualization, getting into the flow state.
Which is functionally very similar to this theta state we're discussing.
It really is. It's about achieving peak performance under pressure by managing the mind state. These audio programs, theoretically, aim to bypass that long learning curve.
Making that kind of mental conditioning accessible. Just put on headphones.
That's the promise, making high-level mental technology available to anyone wanting to change their internal script, their internal programming.
So the core takeaway here is quite profound, really. If you've been struggling financially, putting in the effort but not seeing results, maybe it's not about working harder.
It might not be a failure of effort at all. It could simply be, as the sources suggest, outdated programming running the show. Fear-based decisions on autopilot.
And the solution proposed here combines these theta frequencies, subconscious reprogramming techniques, and proven neural entrainment principles, all aimed at mental realignment.
The journey to sustainable wealth, or even just breaking through limitations, it really does seem to begin in the mind, not in the bank account first.
Changing the operating system.
When you use tools designed to reshape those underlying neural patterns, the idea is you unlock the potential for your reality to actually start aligning with what you consciously desire.
Okay, so to wrap up, here's a final provocative thought for you, the listener, to chew on, based on everything we've discussed. If your current reality is largely a reflection of that inner 95% subconscious programming, what is just one outdated, maybe scarcity-based belief that might be running in your background right now? One belief that's ready to be brought into the light, audited, and maybe permanently tuned out.